right now. Tonight, unbelievable breaking news. Bombshells in the Caylee Anthony case. For the first time, we get a look at the controversial private investigator video that could impact the murder trial of Casey Anthony. What you are looking at is video showing George and Cindy Anthony's private investigator, Dominic Casey, recorded by the other PI, Jim Hoover, searching an area just feet from where Kaylee's remains were eventually found 1 month later. You can see Casey with the cell phone to his ear. The video was released to CNN affiliate WFTV. They have aired it without sound, but report that Dominic Casey is heard saying on the tape, quote, "It would be right here," end quote. What? What would be right there? A body? If so, who is directing him there? Dominic Casey insists he had no advanced knowledge. We will debate this wild development. Meantime, a stunning new report reveals police sources now say there is overwhelming evidence that Casey Anthony, acting alone, killed Caylee intentionally, not by accident. Investigators believe Casey dumped her daughter's body on June 18th, but here's the real horror. They believe Caylee had been in the trunk of Casey's car for 2 days before the body was dumped. Also, meter reader Roy Kronk will give his first national sit-down interview since he found little Kaylee's remains last month to Good Morning America tomorrow. And now another stunner. He took a photo and has reportedly licensed it to ABC for an undisclosed amount. Let's see, is that how a good Samaritan behaves? We're going to debate that. So much to talk about tonight. I want to hear from you. Give me a holler. 1-877-JVM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. A weigh-in. Joining me now, my fantastic panel, Kathy Bellich, reporter with CNN affiliate WFTV Orlando. Gail St. John, famed psychic and host of the forthcoming TV show The Body Hunter. Vinnie Parco, private investigator and commentator for True TV. And Dr. Bill Mannion, pathologist and assistant medical examiner for Burlington County, New Jersey. Plus, Judge Jeanine Pirro, former district attorney and host of the Judge Jeanine Pirro Show. Kathy Bellich, you have listened to the audio on the November 15th video taken at the scene where the remains were later found about a month later. What exactly did you hear?
The clearest thing I could hear on the tape was private investigator Dominic Casey, who was hired by the Anthony family, saying to the other private eye who was actually shooting the video, Jim Hoover, Dominic Casey said it would be right here. And what you're looking at that moment that you hear that is a tight shot of concrete blocks, paver blocks at the scene, just feet apparently from where Caylee was later found just weeks later.
So the implication is, even though he had said previously he was talking to his daughter, that he might be directed to that area by someone on the phone, and that someone would presumably know where the body was. Therefore, that someone would somehow, if connected to Casey Anthony, be proving the prosecution's case. Would that be fair, Kathy?
Well, that's what Private Eye Jim Hoover, who was videotaping that video that you just saw, he said that Dominic Casey told him, Caylee is dead and I know where she is, and that's why they went there. And then when you hear him say it would be right here, you know, you have to interpret it, I guess, however you interpret it. But Hoover says that's why they were there.
Now, here's a fascinating angle. You know, there are many, many reports coming out of many different stations. There's a report from WESH2 News that says that the Anthony family's private investigator told authorities he was talking on the phone with a psychic as he searched woods in November. In other words, he's, according to this report, not talking to his daughter. He's talking to a psychic that is apparently leading him to this area. Now, we have a psychic with us tonight, Gail St. John, psychic detective and host of The Body Hunter. Gail, is that how psychics work? Do they talk on the phone to somebody and say, okay, make a left turn here, take a look at the tree, go down the hill, there's the concrete blocks, that's where you're going to find the body?
Well, I mean, it's possible it could be that way. I mean, I have worked with law enforcement in the past, and, you know, while they were out in the field, you know, and describing stuff to them so they could find the body. So, you know, I mean, it's extremely possible.
Well, what do you make of the fact that he's now saying he's talking to a psychic, according to this one news report?
Well, you know, I mean, I wasn't there, so I don't know who he was really talking to. I mean, like I said, there again, it could be possible that he really was, or he was not.
Well, you got competition then, because you actually said that you went down there in the summer, and apparently he's talking to another psychic who has led him there, if he can be believed. All right, Judge Jeanine Pirro, you're a former DA. I want to bring your perspective into all of this, because it's such a wild story, and the twists and turns every 5 seconds, it's almost entering the realm of surrealism at this point. Let's bring us down to earth. How do you analyze this
all right
situation?
Well, first of all, it sounds like complete and utter hogwash to me that someone who's a private investigator says he's on the phone with a psychic who's telling him where to move, and then he says he's talking to a sick daughter. But here's the bottom line. The feds will find out who he was talking to, and if he lied to the feds and said he was talking to his daughter or he was talking to a psychic, then you've got him automatically on a crime of lying to a federal officer. But here's what makes more sense. You've got a private investigator hired by the defendant's mother and father, who is in the vicinity within feet of where the body was subsequently found, stabbing garbage bags, and we know that the skull was found in a garbage bag. That is tampering with evidence. That is possibly criminal facilitation after the fact. It's conspiracy. Here is a guy who is dead to right, without a doubt, either going to be indicted for information that he had, or he's going to turn evidence against the Anthonys. There is no confidentiality here. There is no privilege here. This is too close for comfort, and that's why law enforcement is saying that they now can prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt of intentional murder.
All right, so you're linking those. Yeah, you're linking those two. That's fascinating. Now let's look at Private Eye Dominic Casey in the woods adjacent to where Caylee Anthony's remains were found on December 11th. We see him with some sort of stick prodding and poking the ground. At times, he seems to spot something and dig with the same stick. As you can see from the date stamp on this video, this was shot November 15th, almost a month before Caylee's body was found by investigators. Now, my question to Vinnie Parka, who is a private eye, could he be destroying evidence, albeit accidentally? We have to give him the benefit of the doubt at this point. Is this how private investigators behave?
No. First of all, if you notice, he didn't secure the crime scene area, number one. Number two, he should have had the other investigator videotape closer to what the information that he was picking up. For example, he opened a couple bags. First of all, he didn't have any gloves on, so if there were any fingerprints on the bag, he would corrupt that evidence. He cut the bag open with a knife. He should have opened up with his hand and looked inside and had it videotaped. So if there was something of value in there, it wouldn't have destroyed the evidence. It was totally. I really don't think that this was done in a professional manner. I think it was done to sort of, again, reasonable doubt, to try to get the onus away from that particular area.
Dr. Bill Mannion, you're a forensic pathologist. You've just seen this video of this guy. He's going through there and just poking and slashing his way. Somebody said it was almost animalistic the way he was going through and digging everything up. Can you give us a sense of what could have been destroyed in that process?
Yes, I mean, that's very upsetting, because whenever you see a crime scene established, right away you see the tape go up around the scene, and everyone is very, very careful walking around the crime scene. Everyone has to wear gloves, everyone has to wear coveralls, because the person themselves carry in the most contamination. Your footprints can contaminate the area. If there may be footprints that are viable that can be found there, and of course, sticking a wooden stick into a bag with bones and stuff, you may fracture some of the bones. These would be, hopefully post-mortem fractures that a forensic pathologist and an anthropologist could recognize that these were post-mortem fractures.
It's a bad thing. Now, let me just ask you, Judge Jeanine, if in fact the police trace these cell phone calls and it somehow winds back to Casey, some way, shape, or form, daisy chain it back to Casey, is that game, set, match? I mean, is that proof that, hey, the only way she could have directed him there is if she knew?
Without a doubt, Jane. You see, this is really, as far as I'm concerned, the mother lode, because it is an agent of the defense who is finding and locating in the area exactly where the body was subsequently found, on the phone frantically going through bags, contaminating evidence. And, you know, Vinny, I agree with you. Anyone professionally would have done this in a totally different way. It indicates that the intent was not to, you know, recoup or recover a body, but rather to contaminate and possibly take away information. And if he lied about who he was talking to, and make no mistake, law enforcement will find out like this, and I'm sure they already know who he was talking to, and then it's match that. It's exactly as you say. It is over for Casey Anthony.
Yeah, game, set, match. We'll see, though. The chess game is still going on. Okay, guys, stay right there. Don't forget, Nancy Grace up at 8.